We didn't build the Golden Dome that Reagan wanted to build because the Democrats, they mocked it and mocked it and mocked it. There was a little country, you may have heard of it, Israel, and they developed the most cutting-edge technology when it comes to these defensive missiles hitting missiles. Now, obviously, we have very advanced technology. The Israelis have very advanced technology. And Netanyahu has said, you build the Golden Dome, we will give you all of our intelligence for free. What do we get from Israel? Well, we get that. The Washington Times. China blasts Golden Dome as space threat. Now that would interest me. Cites arms race, Cold War mentality, and arguments against U.S. program. This is important, actually. This is what Reagan and Gorbachev fought over. This is why Reagan walked out of those nuclear talks. The Soviet Union, Gorbachev, their economy was such they couldn't keep up with us on the Strategic Defense Initiative. And they're thinking, you come up with a SDI program, you are going to neutralize all our nuclear missiles, so you won't have mutual assured destruction. And that's Reagan saying, that's the point. And he said, and you know what? If we agree to this, I'll share the technology with you. Well, we didn't build the Golden Dome that Reagan wanted to build because the Democrats mocked it as Star Wars. They mocked it and mocked it and mocked it. There was a little country, you may have heard of it, Israel, that signed a memorandum of understanding. We've talked about this. And they developed the most cutting-edge technology when it comes to these defensive missiles hitting missiles for their own use. Now, obviously, we have very advanced technology for ballistic missiles and so forth and so on. The Israelis have very advanced technology. And Netanyahu has said, you build the Golden Dome, we will give you all of our intelligence for free, all of our technological know-how for free. What do we get from Israel? Well, we get that. And also, Israel, there was an article I read the other day, saved us like hundreds of billions of dollars, about $300 billion on our latest jet technology, because they looked at it and they improved it and they added some things to it. You're talking about 9 million people. They have a brilliant, their equivalent, Silicon Valley. And imagine what they could do if they weren't spending 40% of their resources defending themselves in war. But yet their technology when it comes to these weapons is unbelievable. We've talked about laser. They're far ahead of everybody else, as far as we know, on laser technology. And I talked about this some weeks ago. The problem they were having with laser technology is you need an extremely concentrated light. Extremely concentrated. And if you're going to hit targets at long distances, including in space or even in the sky below space, the problem is it diffuses. So what did they develop? They developed a system where you have thousands and thousands of light streams going at different times, going like this, like this, like this. Mr. Executive Puce, would you come up here and dance for everybody and show them what I'm talking about? He's a dancer. Anyway, so they just go fast, 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 thousands and thousands. So the light source and the concentration is maintained. That's beyond my knowledge base. That's all I know. And so they're now using prototypes in the field. They're putting them on Jeeps and so forth. They're trying them in some planes. That's a game changer. If you have effective laser systems, you're going to knock out drones and jets and missiles and everything else, which is one of the reasons they're working on it. The Japanese are working on it because they're aware that China is a grave threat. We're working on it as well. But I believe the Israelis have a step up on this and have been working on it in a more concentrated level for a longer period of time, and you can understand why. So China blasts Golden Dome as space threat, cites arms race and so forth. This tells me we got to go ahead with this, and I know our president will. Trump rolls out U.S. troops in Ukraine. Biden team warned on auto pen pardons, language freed violent criminals. Rules block anti-American migrants. Well, that's always nice. The Democrats want anti-American migrants in the country. Let's see, what else do we have here? Poll shows O'York leading in primary race for Senate seat. That guy's a real mental case. It's a real mental case. I hope he is nominated because he's bad. Weaponizing the czar urged James to quit over mortgage probes. Oh, shall we? President Trump's political weaponization czar sent a letter urging New York Attorney General Letitia James to resign from office in an act of good faith. She's not going to resign in an act of bad faith. It's not going to happen. But anyway, 4 days after starting his mortgage fraud investigation of her. Then he showed up outside her house. Ed Martin, the director of the Justice Department's Weaponization Working Group, told Ms. James's lawyer on August 12th that the Democrat would best serve the good of the state and nation, quote unquote, by resigning and ending his probe into alleged paperwork discrepancies on her Brooklyn townhouse and Virginia home. Her resignation from office would give the people of New York and America more peace than proceeding, Mr. Martin wrote. I would take this as an act of good faith. And then last Friday, Mr. Martin turned up outside Ms. James' Brooklyn townhouse in a Columbo-esque trench coat, accompanied by an aide and New York Post journalist. He didn't meet with Ms. James or go out inside the building. A Post writer saw him tell a neighbor, I'm just looking at houses, interesting houses. It's an important house. Ms. James' lawyer, Abby Lowell. Abby Lowell seems to be a lawyer for every Democrat. Man, does he charge a lot. They're like broke by the time he's done. Let's see here. Abby Lowell shot back on Monday, telling Mr. Martin a letter that his blunt request for Ms. James' resignation defied Justice Department standards. I didn't even know they had standards anymore. And codes of professional responsibility and legal ethics, and it goes on. So that would interest me. I'd probably share that with you, unlike most of these. Now, Spanberger is a woman who's running for governor of Virginia. She poses as a moderate. I believe she's a veteran, or she worked at the CIA. She's a leftist. She's a leftist, and she's on the wrong side of all this genitalia surgery on children and so forth, although she's trying now to moderate her position. So Sears, who is the lieutenant governor, the first African-American woman lieutenant governor, if she's elected governor, would be the first African-American woman. The Democrats only care about that if they're Democrats. Oh, she's black. Oh, big deal. And it's them. It's, oh, my God, she's black. Oh, she's a woman. We can't define it, but she's a woman. Sears is actually very solid, has an unbelievable background. And the issue is fundraising, if she could fundraise enough. Now, the Republican National Committee is not giving that campaign enough money. And they need money. It's a heavy TV market in and around Washington, D.C., where the tail wags the dog, meaning Northern Virginia. She'd be an excellent governor.
For all this and much more, sign up for Levin TV.